And to kind of sum up his long introduction, it looks like he's been keeping an eye on the paranormal and doing his own investigations, basically around the Hawaii Halloween time frame. And he wants to apparently debunk some of those activities. So,
you want to eat the chair?
Yeah. The hills are alive with the curse of Oetzi. I was going to try to find something with saints because it's All Saints Day, and saints have paranormal stuff and bones and creepy things, and I ran across instead a curse of a mummy. And we all know King Tut's curse, and it's kind of debunked, but got a lot of movies and all that kind of thing out of it. But this is Oetzi, the frozen Ice Man. And it all starts with a hike on September 19th, 1991. Helmut and Erica are trudging along in the Alps for a casual hike. Probably to go yodeling or whatever they do in the Alps when they go hiking. This is at the border between Italy and Austria. Italy and Austria, where Salzburg is, that's where they film The Sound of Music. And when you think they're hiking casually and they run across a dead man. Well, what they think is a dead man. There's this naked man frozen in the ice. Well, he's kind of not really naked. I mean, he's there, and they run across this guy, and they're going, what happened here? It's the mountaineer met his demise. This guy is dead in the ice. I mean, he was there, and it's not snow, ice. And part of his rump was eaten because maybe it was something chewed on his Shawshank Redemption there or something, but he was pretty much complete. Now, they instantly called the authorities, and the authorities come in there, and they, oh my gosh, this poor hiker, and they took about 4 days to chisel him out of the ice. And, they're thinking, maybe somebody killed him or something, and it turns out somebody did. It was a case of murder. But the trick here is, this guy they discover from his things and DNA testing is actually completely mummified in ice. And they discover that he probably died about 3,200 something BC, making him about over 5,000 years old, which is about 500 years before the pyramids were built, to put it in perspective. Now they're going, oh my gosh, here's this guy that's 5,000 something years old, and you go, oh, what are we going to name him? Oops, well, we need a name for this guy. Well, then, oops, it's Oetzi. Where did Oetzi come from? Well, Oetzi is the Oetzi mountain range in the Alps, so they just, Oetzi. That's where you guys came. I mean, if he was from Kahuku, they probably would have named him Kahu. So, apparently this guy, they made all kinds of theories. Well, how did he had an arrow wound through his shoulder blade, which pierced an artery underneath the clavicle, protects it. He might have died with an arrow, and they came up with these theories that maybe he was one of these sacrificial guys, like the bog person. I've heard the bog person that preserved in the peat bog. But he was only 500 BC. Oetzi's 5,000 BC. But they're wondering, oh, was he some type of sacrifice for a better harvest? I don't know. Yeah, maybe he was killed. I don't know. Well, they're figuring this all out, right? And they discovered that there was little traces of blood of 4 different people, on 2 of them on one of Oetzi's arrowheads, and some on his cloak thing, and this sort of thing. So Oetzi shot somebody with an arrow, pulled out the arrow, and shot somebody else with the arrow, and there was something else on his little, axe head, because he had a copper axe head. So this guy was halfway out of the Neolithic and partway into the Copper Age. That's how far back this is. And this was not a murder. It was like a gang fight from the Stone Age. Well, at the end of the Stone Age, Neolithic. And he had a head bump and all this. So they forensically just did everything. After they chipped him out, it took 4 days, they pried him out and they put him in a body bag and did all this. Teams of people analyzing Oetzi and all this. And there was something that happened. I mean, this magnificent find of a great picture, a flash frozen picture of the Stone Age, and what could have happened, and Oetzi was in some type of battle, and he's up at the mountains. Like, what happened? And all this information they could gather. Well, something else started to happen. Now, unlike King Tut's tomb, where they sort of debunked the curse, this one was not so, causation, correlation. Those things correlate, doesn't mean it causes. This curse of Oetzi started to happen. And there started to be a body count. 7 people died associated with interacting with Oetzi and his removal and examination. And so this innocent Oetzi, and I don't know, he was quite peripatetic. He was a peripatetic guy, literally. Because they thought maybe he was just this lone farmer guy, or maybe he just went up there. But he was really roaming around. They figured out from dental things, he grew up where he grew up and where he moved to. And from his gut, they figured, he ate some of this ibex deer and then something else, and undigested meals and stuff. They found out so much stuff. Yet, people started to die. So, what is it with Oetzi? I don't know. Let me jump right to this body count. I'll call it the Deadpool. So, here's Oetzi in all his glory, and they reconstructed him, and he had bows and arrows and all kinds of interesting things. Oh, and he was also probably a coppersmith, like a blacksmith. He had a little coppersmith, he had some arsenic traces, and so he was into coppersmithing, and it's an interesting thing. So why is he running away? Why is he in a gang fight in the Stone Age? We don't know. But something is up with Oetzi. Number 1 on the Deadpool, Rainier Hen, 1992, only a year later. Now, Rainier put Oetzi in the body bag up on the mountain. Oh, he was going to a lecture because he was going to lecture about Oetzi, and he died in a car wreck. Oh. Kurt Fritz, and by the way, they almost named Oetzi Frozen Fritz. I like that one better. But Oetzi, whoops, it's Oetzi. Kurt Fritz, he died in an avalanche. He was a body of transportation. In 1993, he was only 52, he died in an avalanche. A bunch of people went and got an avalanched on them. And of all the people All the people survived, except Kurtz. And he was an expert guide. Then there was Helmut Simon coming in at number 3, 2004. Now Helmut, as you remember, was Helmut and Erica, the ones who discovered Oetzi. He was an avid hiker of the Alps. He fell 300 feet. It took him 8 days to find Helmut. But they found him and he was 300 feet below. Oh gosh. Number 4, Dieter Warnick. Now, he died after Helmut's funeral. Dieter was the head dude leading the expedition to find Helmut 8 days later. So he went to Helmut's funeral. He went home and hours later died of a heart attack. He was only 45 years old. Konrad Spindler died by joking. Yes, he was the leading expert and he didn't believe in the curse. And he said, "That is a load of rubbish. It's media hype. Next thing you'll know, that they'll be saying, I'll be next." And he was. 2005, complications from multiple sclerosis. Number 6, Rainier Holtz. He was allowed to film this whole Oetzi marvelous discovery. And he made a documentary about Oetzi. He introduced the face of Oetzi to the world. And oops, Oetzi. After he was done with the documentary, he died of a brain tumor. Tom Loy, number 7. Now, Oetzi had clothing, and they analyzed the clothing, and they found out he was a victim of violence. As a matter of fact, that Stone Age gang war. And he had multiple types of blood, and this guy was the analysis of different people. They could DNA. I mean, Oetzi had whole blood cells, red blood cells. I mean, he was frozen. It's amazing. So he analyzed all that. And after he was done with his analysis and gave that diagnosis, he was diagnosed with a hereditary blood disease and died. So, is the curse of Oetzi, oops, it's Oetzi, is the curse real? Is this correlation, causation? Is the curse real? But if this tale gets you a little bit and you want to just dismiss it, you know, there's hundreds of people on these teams that examined Oetzi. Out of the hundreds of people, only 7 died. So you can sort of dismiss the curse of Oetzi. But I don't know. The one guy in the avalanche, and everyone survived but him. The guy doing the blood disease dies of a blood disease? Huh? Oops, it's Oetzi. So, everyone who discovered this guy, okay. So, I think, yes, there's something to the curse of Oetzi. So, the remains are on display in Italy. There was a border dispute, but Italy got the thing. But, oops, it's Oetzi. I'm not going to touch that one. So, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you for the popsicle explanation.
Popsicle.
So I guess that is a Tootsie Pop.
Yep. Good one.